Alright, so finally making my character build archive video where I'm just gonna go through all of my characters and go through every step pretty much. I kind of did this in my 1830 days with Genshin, I think. Kind of. I didn't show like every single character, but this one's gonna be like a lot more in-depth, showing like individual artifacts and then also kind of going through the weapons and kind of like why build characters certain ways. Because yeah, if you watch build guides or you go on, certain sites that show builds, mine are kind of comparable, but then, I have tweaks here and there. I'll go through like element per element, and I'll have everything time-stamped, so it'll be pretty easy to find. I'm gonna quickly just explain a few other things, so you can just skip to like the next part, or you can listen to me for a little bit. Alright, so the reason why I'm doing this now is because, one, it's the end of the patch, and normally at the end of a patch, I will strongbox and kind of go through my inventory, kind of clear up artifacts. Not that anybody cares, but like not that anybody cares about like pull plans or whatever, but like I'm not really planning on pulling any of the characters in the next patch. So I thought now would be a good time to just purge literally everything. I went back through, I spent like four or 5 hours just optimizing every single character. And then I went back and just deleted like everything pretty much. I have like a couple straggler pieces here and there as like just in case pieces, but as you can see, it's pretty clean. I'm down to 695 artifacts. I think Tenacity and I don't remember what other set it was, but I knew it was Cinder City. I had like 70 or like 80 for like both, so yeah, I managed to clear through everything as you can see. So yeah, pretty much I went back through, went through every single character, tried to like min-max like every possible set and piece. I actually went and finally crafted artifacts too, because I had never done that before. So I just went through and just did a bunch of these. I also spent all of my reshaping feathers, and yeah, also as you can see, I ended up going through a lot more Mora than I wanted to, so I'm kind of like low, but luckily I should be able to save for like an entire batch, so. But yeah, leveling, who would have thought that leveling like potentially a couple hundred artifacts would cost that much? But yeah, so end of patch, I like to clear through, and then I decided to just like optimize everything. And then since like most of my videos are pretty much just me doing like endgame modes, so I thought like what I used to do is at the end of the video I would kind of go through my artifacts for the teams that I used. Then I kind of stopped doing that because I thought that kind of took too long to do every single video. So then I kind of stopped doing that, and then yeah, so the point of this video is kind of just whenever you watch those videos, this is basically going to be like a reference video, so you can see like what my stats were and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of like the point of this video. Show my absolute optimized sets, and then yeah, this is pretty much going to be like a reference video though, in case you want to like see any of my builds. And then I'll probably just like, whenever anybody wants to know like my stats, I'll just link this video pretty much. But anyway, enough rambling. So I'll start with Traveler because it doesn't matter that much. He's kind of just like on a general set. Because I thought like eventually they would add a thing to where you can just freely switch elements, but they haven't done that, so it's kind of on a general set with just like a pure attack. The thing is, each element kind of wants like a specific thing. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a waste to have them built like this. The problem is I kind of deleted like all of my other artifacts, so I can't really give them like a set for every single element anymore. I mean, I probably have enough pieces to make sets for every element, but it doesn't matter as much. And then yeah, just have them on this because it just has crit stats on it. Otherwise, I mean, I would probably just run them on like prototype Raincore because that's kind of like his default weapon in like videos and stuff. But getting into actual characters, starting with MAVUIKA. Here are my stats. I'll quickly scroll through like everything. So as you can see, 2000 attack. With pretty healthy crit stats. This looks kind of low, but she gets like 40% from Obsidian Codex. She is on a signature, because if you've watched my other videos, I'm like a very... for main DPS characters, I'm like a firm believer in you should... If you're gonna pull for main DPS character, you should pull the main DPS signature. So, yeah, most of my main DPS characters you'll probably see with signatures. Yeah, let's go through. So for MAVUIKA, she's pretty much like near perfect. There are potential better stats for, like, I could try to min-max some parts. Like, obviously, you don't want a single hit of HP and you would want pure crits or whatever, but my characters and my builds are pretty much at the point where they're so good that trying to chase for like slight upgrades is like not worth. This piece is pretty nasty, other than the energy recharge. Like, energy recharge is useless for this piece, but... And then this could have gotten a little more crit rate, so I can get like 100%, but... Actually, no, I think she was at 100%. Actually, she was at 101 once the 4-piece set procs. But yeah, she's basically as perfect as probably can be. And then yeah, she's just on her signature set, so like nothing too crazy to say here. C0, and then around there. I did want to get this to like 8, but I kind of gave up for some reason. DEHYA, her crit rate's kind of low. I used to run her with Beacon, but this is like one of the things I was testing recently, where I need to finish leveling this, but yeah, when I was optimizing, one of the things that I tested was DEHYA with her signature versus with sacrificial. Because the problem with DEHYA, I like running her in my Clarin team. The problem with her is that the skill kind of doesn't line up unless you like do like a really extended rotation. So what sacrificial allows you is to 80% chance to where her skill ends. There's a 20% chance it doesn't, which would then scuff your rotation a little bit, but it's probably fine. Otherwise, like, Beacon does give her a little more personal damage, but like in my testing, it's like just a little bit more, so like, in general, it probably doesn't matter as much. As for her build, she's on Varukasha's Glow. I did test Tenacity with pretty much near identical stats, like crit and stuff like that. I found that the buff Tenacity gives to the team isn't as good as just the personal damage that she contributes, so that's the reason why I have her on this instead. But yeah, I also tested like triple EM, but yeah, I found that just going for personal damage for her is better. So yeah, just crit stats with like a little EM, because I think the EM does help a little bit. I think this piece is pretty nasty. I mean, this one like purely spec'd for crits. So this is probably like one of my best pieces probably, in terms of like, it only hit crit. She's on an HP sand because I have her C1. If you have her C0, an attack sand is better. But as soon as you get C1, HP sand is better. Pyro Goblet. This is technically her worst piece. They could get like double crit instead, but it's kind of like all I had. This is also pretty good sand. Or, crown. I could technically go crit rate, but I think I tested that and it didn't really matter that much, so I just left it out like that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess technically, I guess I could just do like an attack or crit rate sand, or I don't know. I keep saying sand. Crit rate crown. Yeah, maybe like something like this. There you go. I'm building in real time. Yeah, that's probably fine. So it's slightly more optimized, even. But yeah, the difference with Beacon is it just gives her like slightly more personal damage. I don't know why she's still making the sound, but yeah, C1 like I said, and then yeah, most of my characters that I actually actively use are crowned, or pretty much like all of my 5 stars are for the most part crowned, unless it's like a character like Yoi. I did crown this, but it's like one of those things where I never actually play this character. Pretty decent crit stats, like very good attack. Almost bow, but I had her on rust before, and I think almost bow gives like a little bit more. I feel like it doesn't matter as much unless you actually have like crit substat. But yeah. Yeah, Yoi's a character I like borderline never use outside of like Imaginary Theater. But as you can see, pretty good stats. Again, most of my characters, you know, I'm a day 1 player, playing since day 1, like daily. So most of my characters are pretty much near perfect stats, like as good, like I said earlier, like as good as I can get them without, you know, it's like pretty diminishing returns pretty much. Like this could be better, like slightly more crit rate. I could get crit rate here, maybe. But it's one of those things where it's like very diminishing returns to try to chase for those tiny bits. But yeah, her attack is like really high now that I'm like looking at it. I don't know like why it's that high. Also, yeah, I don't know. I accidentally hit my table, so hopefully I didn't pick up too much. Hu Tao. So for Hu Tao, I plan on getting her C1 eventually from the free constellation thing. I think once you get her C1, she's actually pretty viable for even like current day, because that fixes like a lot of her problems. Extremely good crit values, pretty healthy HP. She is on an EM sand. The reason for that is because since you pretty much, the large majority of the time you run her in a double hydro team, and hydro resonance gives HP percent. So in cases like that, you want like an EM sand instead. Otherwise, you would just go like an HP sand. But as you can see, like even just this piece is pretty nasty with like how much HP it has. HP percent. And it pretty much like all of these stats are like really good for EM, crit, HP. This one's also pretty much near perfect. Maybe EM would be better, but I mean, I'm not going to complain about an energy recharge. Yeah, like I said, Elemental Mastery is pretty good. I actually think this is fine, even though, like, obviously double crit would be better. But you can't complain about 11% crit rate. Yeah, a lot of crit rate on this one too. these two are kind of dead stats, but this could also be better, but you know, it's like one of those things where, again, to try to like min-max those, it's like pretty diminishing returns, so it's good enough. And yeah, she still hits like really hard, so. And then yeah, like I said, once you go to C1, where it alleviates her stamina, you know, her high stamina cost, she will be able to output like way more DPS. And since you can get her C1 for free these days, technically, it'll take like 8 weeks. She has kind of more value. So yeah, very good. DILUC, he was my first 5-star ever, and he's pretty much been built the exact same for the large majority, like very good crit stats. On a Black Cliff slasher, I got this, and then I also got like the Royal Longsword, I think it's called. I actually did spend Stardust or Star Glitter or whatever it's called for 1 copy, but that's kind of a mistake. But you know, it's like one of those things where back in the day we didn't have that many weapons to work with, so it just made sense to get it. But yeah, I'm hoping to one day get Wolf's Gravestone, but 5 years later and I still don't have it, so. As for build, yeah, just typical Crimson Witch set. Like very, very good stats. Like this hitting this much attack is actually kind of good because it makes up for. He kind of like just needs attack a little bit. Pretty solid piece there. Very good piece here. I think technically you can go EM in like a vape team, but like this is more just like a general set usually. Pyro, this could be better. And then this is also pretty good. Attack percent, which he kind of wants, and then crit. C6, and then yeah. Triple Crown, just because even though I don't like use him anymore, he was my first 5-star, and he kind of carried me in the early game. CHEVREUSE, very good HP percent, or pretty good max HP, I should say. I think to cap out her passive, you need like 40,000 if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure there's like an event exclusive weapon. So you technically can get this, but you could just put it on like Favonius or Chitin, or probably even just Skyward Spine maybe. I don't think it matters like that much. I just did for the HP percent, but I'm kind of like over the cap, so it kind of doesn't matter that much. She's on 4-piece Noblesse because normally you just ult on her. You know, you do the hold E and then you ult. Or the hold skill, because, yeah, I play on mouse and keyboard, so I call it hold E, but hold skill. The stats for her don't matter as much. You know, a little bit of HP, some energy recharge, HP percent. HP with some energy, but it's not that much energy recharge. She doesn't have energy recharge issues though, so it doesn't like matter that much. HP percent with some more energy recharge, and more HP. I think technically you can go healing bonus. I can't go healing bonus though because then I go under 40,000. I think I end up around like 38,000 HP. But healing bonus would technically be better. Unfortunately, I only have her C1. But someday when I get her C6, my Clearance Overload team is going to be taken to the next level. Let me tell you. Talents, so this is the only thing I leveled because the healing is kind of not that good, so like you kind of want to min-max this as much as possible. which is why I kind of want healing bonus, but in order to max out her Ascension passive, you need 40,000 HP, so, which I mean, I could probably give up a little bit. It's be like, what, like 2% or, yeah, 2%, I don't know. I just like to make sure it's like maxed out. Bennett, I mean, not really much, just 284 energy recharge. The rest of his stats kind of don't matter. I have him on the Fluve. But technically I could probably put him on like this for like slightly higher base attack. But I don't know. I find the consistency with this is like kind of better for some reason. But I think the actual best is I think Alley Flash, which I don't have it leveled. Because I think this is like the highest base attack 4-star in the game. Where like it rivals like a 5-star, I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that. Might level that eventually, but yeah, I gotta like there's like a bunch of weapons I need to go back and level, like Favonia's sword for now I could finally swap it out with Sacrificial for Jincho. But it's one of those things where yeah, it'll just take like a little bit to go back and level my weapons. He is also on Noblesse. Most of my supports are pretty much like on Noblesse just because it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, for Bennett, it doesn't really matter your stats. You just kind of want like energy recharge for the most part. Just so you can always like have ult. Healing bonus for the final piece though, because his healing is kind of pretty good actually. C6. And pretty much like just minimal, because yeah. XIANGLING. She's kind of like one of those characters I've optimized like a little bit, but she's pretty much been like the exact same for a while. She's on the catch because I have 2 engulfing lightnings actually. So since I have that, it frees it up for XIANGLING, which is pretty ideal. Which yeah, let me quickly. So like my crit rate's 65%, but the catch gives an extra 12% on the burst specifically, so 77% is pretty good. So it's like 77 with like 143, so it's pretty much like near 1 to 2. Very solid. I've farmed Emblem for like a long time, as probably like a lot of people have. I've also strongboxed it to try to like really min-max all of my Emblem holders. So yeah, most like this is like 100%, like this is pretty much a perfect piece. This is also pretty much near perfect. I mean, the 3rd stat, because like energy recharge is already like the main stat, so like just attack percent would be like the only thing that would make this better. This is pretty much like near perfect too. Like if it would have had energy recharge, that would have been like the only thing. Then yeah, this is also like pretty good. C6 and then 9-9. THOMA. I have him built as like a shield character only. On Kaiten. Just this pretty much guarantees he has ult. And he kinda likes the elemental mastery. His stats are kinda like whatever. Once I got to him, it's kinda just like I'm just gonna throw like whatever I have left pretty much. HP, just to... His shield scales off his HP, so... And then yeah, I have him split on Tenacity and Emblem just to make sure he has the energy recharge. Because pretty much if he doesn't have his ult, he's kind of useless on that team. C6 and yeah. 8-8 because he's not ascended to 90 or 80, 90. His HP is kind of low, but I don't know. It's fine. YANFEI, pretty good stats actually. Attack's kind of low, but you can only do so much on a 4-star. I could get this to level 90, which, you know, again, I just need a farm for this stuff. So yeah, since I'm not planning on getting anything in the next patch, most of these weapons are just going to be like the priority next patch. So instead of like farming artifacts, I'll just be leveling various weapons and stuff. So starting with the flower. Pretty, like, very good crit rate on it. Since she's a 4-star, normally you don't get crit rate ascension stats, so having like really high crit rates are usually better. And since she is a main DPS, it's good to like have these. Like, this is like a really good piece, by the way. Like, a really good piece. Yeah, pretty solid. Like, even just the attack percentage ones are pretty good, which is why it's, I mean, it's still like really low, but she's only level 80. Weapon is level 80, so C6 and then 99. Technically, I think this means that it's at 6. So I could level these, but yeah, no, we'll see in the future. And finally, Amber. Her stats don't matter really. Pretty solid crit values though. Slingshot. Her only use is to ult and to apply Noblesse buff. So yeah, her stats don't really matter that much. Just, I try to give her some damage, but yeah. I wanted to go energy recharge here, but I didn't have one. But I did strongbox, so I do have one now. Pretty much her entire point is just to ult. So I actually have to go back and level that. Pyro, like pretty much she just built as like a DPS. But her damage contribution isn't that good. C2, nothing too crazy there. And then like not leveled like at all. Pretty much her point is to apply pyro like really fast with her ult. That's like her whole point. It doesn't really have that many uses though, but she does have strats versus bosses like the lava boss, which people were doing in Stygian Onslaught. And then from there, there's nothing left. These two I'm like never gonna use. I do have him on this set. This is like DEHYA's alternative set for like a tenacity EM set. So he's just kind of like holding that. But yeah. So on to Hydro characters. We're starting with FURINA, who, let me just say, she has unbelievably good stats. As you can see, near 40,000 HP on her signature. And here we go. Extremely good stats. The only thing that would have made this better is some energy recharge here. Basically perfect piece. Energy recharge would have been nice, but this is like a very good piece too. This is like essentially perfect. 8 flight HP would have been the only thing. And then crown. Yeah, pretty much perfect too. Just like EM, I guess, would have been better, but unbelievably good stats. I mean, as you can see, 90 crit, 228 crit damage. Like, it's like very good. This is probably one of my most perfect outside of like MAVUIKA. And I think Skirk set's pretty good. But, you know, I'll get to that when I get to that. And then, yeah, double crown. NILOU, I think for her, you want to get to like 70,000 to max out her Ascension passive. That's not realistic unless you get like an HP signature weapon. Either her signature weapon with HP or the Dock Hands Assistant, I think it's called. But I don't have that, unfortunately, so I kind of have to just put on an Iron Sting, pretty much. But yeah, getting to 70,000 is pretty unrealistic without her signature. She's on 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Phyrexia, just to max out her HP. For her, it's pretty much just like EM, HP, Energy Recharge. Those are kind of like the stats that I was going for. So like HP percent, EMER, EM, HP percent for the main stat, HP main stat again, EMER, C0, and then 699. Technically, her personal damage doesn't matter that much. She's just there purely for her bountiful core conversion. And then yeah, this is like the passive that I was talking about. So you have to you need like 70,000, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, that just raises like the, you know, her damage on the bountiful cores. So it's worth trying to get to 70,000, but yeah, like I said, it's kind of unrealistic unless you have like an HP stat weapon. Moving on to YELAN. 88% crit rate, 170 crit damage. It's pretty much like 1 to 2. I say 1 to 2 because that's like kind of like what people generally say you should go for. Since like the beginning of the game. Actually, at the beginning of the game, back when the game launched, it probably wasn't 1 to 2. It was probably something else. But yeah, 20,000 or pretty much 29,000. Normally I run her in like a double hydro, but even if I don't, like 29,000 is pretty respectable. She is on Favonius, but technically I do have her signature. The problem is, unless you run her in a double hydro team, she kind of has energy recharge issues. So it just, generally it's like a lot better to just go Favonius for like 90% of the use cases. The extra particles are pretty much, it's just too good. And essentially scales off HP percent, or like HP. The weapon technically doesn't matter. But obviously, like, the passive is like really good. But in general, yeah, you should just go Favonius Warbow. And then, yeah. Obviously, if you can get like a lot of energy recharge, then you could do that, but my energy recharge is kind of low because like none of my pieces hit energy recharge. So as you can see, like these are pretty good pieces. Like very good crit stats, but like yeah, just like no EM, no energy recharge, no HP percent. So it's like one of those things where I kind of just have to take what I can get. So yeah, Favonius Warbow kind of like alleviates those issues by just providing like a bunch of ER directly, but then also the bonus particles once you get into R5. And then yeah, just another emblem holder. C0. Double crowned. Mona, nothing too crazy to say about her stats. She's there to just ult, apply her omen, and then really buff like the following character, pretty much. Around Favonius, I like just recently threw her on this, just because like I have like a lot that are kind of competing for weapons. But otherwise, you can throw on like Thrilling Tales or like I don't know, like Witsith maybe. Prototype Amber is like a pseudo healer. That's how I had her for like a while. But yeah, just so she has her own weapon. I just kind of started leveling this, but again, that'll take a while. Currently I have her on Noblesse. I was running her on Emblem, but she really doesn't have energy recharge issues, so I thought like maybe just, you know, further buffing like the team would be better. So for her, I mean, the stats kind of don't matter, but I do have her built kind of with damage in mind. Obviously energy recharge is just a 100% guarantee she always has her ult. But otherwise she's built like a damage character. Which, you know, in combination with like... actually the stats aren't that good, but... C2... So like kind of nothing too crazy there. And then 9, 9. Child... he... 100% Child is like one of the hardest characters to build. Outside of like Raiden. His attack usually always suffers in some way. As you can see, my crit stats are like very good though. He is on a signature. So that like kind of helps for the bonus attack. But man, his balancing his stats, like as you can see, like his stats that I have, they're pretty, like very good. That's probably his worst piece. But as you can see, like very good. Like very good. And even with stats like that, with a signature, like his attack is still kind of low. He kind of has too much crit rate. I would trade like a little bit maybe, but yeah, like I said, technically his signature can give him some bonus attack, but he's like really hard to balance though for sure. Plus his like raw damage is like really bad. He's purely reaction based. And yeah, double crown technically, but his passive gives him +1. So he's actually like 9, 10, 10. CANDACE. I still can't believe that her kit is the way that it is. She's on Skyward Spine. She kind of doesn't really have much value. Yeah, I don't know. She's kind of like built for damage, but she's mainly there to buff, kind of. So we're just on like triple HP. And the reason for that is because of her talent. Or it might be, yeah, her talent. So her ult. So yeah, it kind of just like buffs her ult, pretty much. Yeah, she's kind of, her kit's kind of weird though. The buff and the damage that she provides, it's kind of like not good enough. So, but yeah, nothing too crazy to say, just HP percent and emblem set. Because you do want her to have ult pretty much guaranteed, and then HP to try to, you know, cap out the buff. Actually, I don't think there is a cap. Yeah, there isn't a cap, there's however much you can get for HP. Barbara, I recently actually updated her. I recently updated her build, kind of. She was on just like a generic like 2-piece maiden with like 2-piece Vorksh, I think. Prototype Amber just for the extra energy recharge because she kind of needs it. I finally put I pretty much just had this set just sitting around and I just never leveled it. It's technically still not leveled. She's on clam set though, just, I don't know, maybe. I've never actually used this set, so like, I don't know how much damage it actually provides to the team. But otherwise, just HP, energy recharge. HP, HP energy recharge, and then healing bonus. C6, 699. Jincho. Pretty good crit stats. Pretty decent attack percent, or attack. He is on sacrificial for now, but I do plan on getting him this once it's fully leveled. The reason why is because, so there's like a 20% chance that sacrificial passive doesn't proc, and if that happens, then your rotation kind of gets scuffed. So what Favonius does is there's like a guaranteed 100% chance as long as you crit, which, since his rain swords are kind of going, it's pretty much guaranteed. And you can get 6 particles, or 6 energy every 6 seconds, and his ult lasts like 12 seconds, I think, so you could technically proc twice. So just for consistency is better. Another Emblem of Severed Fate holder. Again, I've been farming that for like a while. Strongboxed it for a while. So he's like another character that just has like crazy good crit stats. Like very good stats across the board. Like this is easily the worst piece, but there's technically this, but yeah, I find the energy recharge to be helpful, the attack percent to be helpful. Like I'm pretty sure that attack percent is better. More so than the crit damage it would provide anyway. C6, and then yeah. I did crown his ult. I kind of regret crowning his ult though. I don't know why I did it. I think because I needed more damage in like a Stygian onslaught. And so like I ended up leveling it just for like that little bit of extra damage. Also, yeah, it lasts 15 seconds, so it'll come once you get Favonius sword on him. It'll like easily proc twice within the old duration, pretty much. And then IANO finally. Her stats kind of don't matter. I'm pretty sure. You just kind of want her to ult just to apply water, pretty much. This is just to, I mean, as you can see, it's not even leveled, but, so it's like another weapon I'll have to go back and level at some point. But the general idea is that this just helps her funnel more energy to herself. 4-piece Maiden, or Sukken Moon's Serenade. Just to potentially increase EM for the team. So I mean, yeah, nothing too crazy to say here. I think I have her, yeah, I have her only triple EM. I don't know, or maybe not triple EM, double EM. I'm not actually sure what's good for her because I haven't actually used her. But yeah, and she's 0. I did level her though, her skills, because I did use her in Imaginary Theater. And then yeah. Then Dahlia is not leveled, so yeah. Han to Dendro, which is probably my favorite set of characters, starting with LAUMA. Nothing for her matters outside of her energy recharge and EM. I do have her on her signature. And then, yeah, I only recently put this on, but she was on Deepwood before that. You can kind of just choose either or. It kind of just depends on if you have a Deepwood holder. I think I might put her back on Deepwood because most of the time I've just been running her solo. But I'm also kind of playing like a weird team because I'm farming Friendship XP for both her and Mizuki. But yeah, I just throw on this just for the sake of, this is kind of like the intended set. EM, YAR, pretty good stats. EM, ER, very good. EM with just crit. I haven't farmed this set enough, so I can easily like get better pieces. But for now, like, yeah, EM, ER, like just these are like the most important stats for her, so it's pretty good for now. This is pretty much like the only piece I could get better, but as is, it's fine. Moving on to constellations, she's C0 with 6, 10, 10. Pretty good, I really like LAUMA. EMILIE is another one of those characters that has provided me like a lot of value over time. And she's still like probably one of my favorite dendro characters too, because she's like the only other character that applies off-field dendro. So most of the time that's what I use her for. Just purely to apply dendro, like off-field. One of my favorite teams is Clarin, DEHYA, EMILIE, and then like whoever else, like CHEVREUSE, I think. So it's like an what do they call it? They call it like overburn, I think it's called. Very fun team. I want to get her signature eventually, but like usually when she runs, it's with like another character that I want. So I've been having to skip her weapon usually. Thing is, her weapon doesn't actually, unless you're actually playing burning team, it's actually not that good. But just purely for aesthetics, I do want her signature at some point. So for her, you pretty much build her like a damage character. Yeah, with Unfinished Reverie. I think technically if you run her as like a general dendro character, you technically would want to go EM, like triple EM. But I do find her personal damage kind of nice, so I usually just leave her as is. And I kind of just play on like whatever team. Like sometimes I'll play her on a burning team, sometimes I'll play her in like an overload burning team. Sometimes I'll just run her as like a bloom, just like a bloom character pretty much. If you plan on just running her as a bloom character, yeah, I think you're supposed to just go like triple EM. But yeah, very good stats though, as you can see. Very good stats across the board for sure. C0, 6 crown. So yeah. ALHAITHAM, easily like my favorite character in the game. Still like one of the most fun, like satisfying characters to play. Very good stats across the board. Outside of the energy recharge, but yeah, you don't need to ult on him pretty much for the most part. Obviously, the like ulting gives you like a little more damage, but yeah, normally the way you play him, me having like pretty much no energy recharge, it doesn't matter. He pretty much always has it up somehow in the teams that I play him and the way that I play him. Otherwise, let's see what we got here. So technically, you're supposed to run him on Gilded. I did strongbox a little bit, and I did get a set that's as good as Deepwood. The problem is, normally I run him as a solo dendro, and I find just having him on Deepwood covers like everything for me. So normally, yeah, he just has Deepwood. Technically, the set's, I've managed to get like a slightly better set because this actually has like EM and stuff. But this Deepwood set is so good too. Like, just like look at these. This is worst piece, but you know, it's like one of those things where, yeah, like this, I literally crafted this one and very good. Let's just say, let me just say, also like a very solid. This one I crafted very recently, like a day or two ago. And it ended up just being like the most minor of side grades, but Yeah, it's just like one of those things. But again, I do have a gilded set that's technically better. It'll just depend on how I intend to play him in the future. But I do have like that. I do have his technical best in slot set. I just need to figure out like a team where I want to like, because normally I run him with Kuki, but Kuki's best set right now is the Lost Paradise or whatever it's called to increase bloom damage. But technically, I could just throw on Deepwood, and then I could run ALHAITHAM. I would have to test like the damage difference. That's just like one of those things. C0 and Triple Crown because yeah, he's like my favorite character to play. Still hits like pretty hard. And then yeah, like I said, Kuki with like the Lost Paradise set, it was like a massive upgrade for her when I figured like because I didn't really know about it. I just had like that set sitting in my inventory. But then I found out like what it did, and I was like, whoa, wait. So it's like pretty much like a free like massive upgrade for that team. But yeah, I'll have to see what I end up doing with that in the future. But yeah, technically you're supposed to run him ungilded. But if he's solo dendro, then Deepwood is better. Unless your Deepwood set is like really bad. Then it's worth just running this and then like putting Deepwood on somebody else. It is just like one of those things that depends. COLLEI. I actually kind of like COLLEI. Her gameplay's kind of weird if you don't have constellations. Specifically like, yeah, like the C2. C6 would be pretty nice too, just for like the mini COLLEI non-bar. But yeah, her dendro application is kind of weird. But she's weirdly pretty good though at the same time. Like she can contribute like pretty good amounts of damage purely because she's dendro. Pretty good stats. I pretty much just gave her like the side pieces when I was farming ALHAITHAM. So most of her pieces are actually pretty good. She's built just like a typical like damage character. Technically, yeah, I could throw this on since I now have that crafted one. I don't know, like, I mean, yeah, it'll probably be good. So here, like, the actual final stats. Yeah, she's on sacrificial. Just because once you get her C2, like, whenever you skill, it'll create, like, a floral ring kind of like around your character. So it's just, like, good for more consistent dendro application because she kind of has problems with applying dendro instead of like her ult, which even her ult only lasts like, yeah, it's like 6 seconds. So being able to double skill is kind of nice. It also kind of helps with energy recharge issues, but yeah. Otherwise, pretty minimal investment. Just what is that? 8. Kirara was like old reliable for like a long time. 44,000 HP. Kirara is like one of those characters where like I got her and I ended up like liking her way more because she felt like pretty like organic as a character. But then her shield, like at the time, like her shield is like a really high value. And her shield is pretty tanky. As you can see, she's on 2-piece Millilith with 2-piece Vorextra for the just as much HP as possible. Purely for like a really tanky shield, and her shield's pretty tanky for a 4-star, let me tell you. Some EM, some ER, but like really doesn't matter that much. Her dendro application is pretty much like non-existent unless you like actively play her on field. Yeah, unfortunately not C6. Or C6 would be pretty nice. I mean, it's only 12% bonus damage, but I'll take 12%, you know what I'm saying? 12% kind of goes a long ways these days. Kind of, I don't know. Not really, I guess, but yeah, kind of like minimal investment. I could probably get this like 8, but yeah, kind of don't use her that much these days. But yeah, she was definitely old reliable back in the day. During the Sumeru days.
Where's my key?
Kaveh, I haven't built purely as just like an extra character for Imaginarium Theater, but I typically don't ever actually play him. He's on Mailed Flower. His kit is just like too weird, so as you can see though, he's just built kind of like with, well, I mean, I'm pretty much just trying to go for the EMER, 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 EMER on a deep wood set. Yeah, C1 only. With, yeah, like just minimal investment pretty much. 777 across the board. Then Yao Yao, I actually did end up using her pretty recently. Yeah, she's actually pretty good in like a LAUMA, FURINA, either FURINA or you can go like JINCHO, and then NILOU plus Yao Yao. And pretty much like at the end of the, or every other rotation you swap to Yao Yao and you like just full heal the team. And it's like really good, surprisingly. So she actually ended up getting some use from me recently. Yeah, otherwise just HP, EM, ER were like the stats I was trying to go for. Triple EM, technically, because if you just want more damage, so I do have her on 1 EM piece. And then I have double HP for her healing and survivability. But you could technically go triple EM if you want like just pure damage. I don't use her on field every rotation though, so that's why it's only like 1, so she contributes like a little bit of damage. But the main thing is just to make sure the team stays topped up in between, like, you know, every other rotation. Only C2. Yeah, I mean, the rest are kind of like whatever. And then minimal investment. For me, minimal investment is like 6 or 7, usually. Well, with like high investment is like 8 or 9. With like 9 pretty much being like the go-to. And then Tainari, which I don't have leveled, and I probably will never build. But he's actually pretty decent, it's just, I don't know. Not really... Not a fan. Alright, we're kind of halfway finally. Going into Electro with probably my next set of like favorite characters. Starting with Clorind. 67, 245. This looks kind of low. but she gains 20% from her talent. So she's actually like 87 pretty much. I wish I could get that like closer to like 95, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's gonna be like really hard to min-max that. Absolution, and you will see why in a second. Fragment of Harmonic Whimsy. So first part being like, so this artifact set or artifact domain is kind of like low value to try to farm anyway. But then yeah, the other problem is that, as you can see, my stats are like so crazy in terms of like crit values that even if I were to try to go back, like it's another case of like it's pretty massive diminishing returns to even try to go back and min-max that. Technically this piece is better, but I have so much crit damage that it kind of doesn't matter. I would rather just have more crit rate just for absolute consistency. This Goblet is pretty nasty too. And then, yeah. It's like one of those pieces where it's like barely a little bit more crit rate, but like the attack percent and the energy recharge kind of just better. So as much as I would like to be closer to like 95, it would be so hard to get better pieces, so. And yeah, Clarin's my only limited with constellations. And she's, I've used her pretty much as I can. I pretty much find like any reason to run her in like whatever content. Triple crown because obviously, and then yeah. Nothing too crazy there, like just very solid stats across the board. Miko, extremely good crit values. Pretty solid attack. She's on her signature. She's kind of, yeah, she's on a split set. I don't know. I guess technically EM, you can go gilded. The thing is, I just run her like this as a general set because I just run her in like whatever teams pretty much. I don't really run her in anything specific. It's just kind of like, I kind of just throw into a team. So she's just on double attack sets with very good crit values, as you can see. Like very good across the board. And then since she's on double attack, like that's why I'm able to make up that. C0, double crown. I prefer running her over official in like 90% of scenarios, just because I like her totem uptime. Or wait, yeah, her totem uptime. I just find it like lines up with a lot more of my rotations usually. Whenever I need more electro application though, I do run official instead. Okay, so my rating, okay, so sit down, here we go. There's a lot to talk about here. So rating, okay, so as you can see, 72 crit rate, 178 crit damage, very good. Energy recharge, 212. Emblem and Severed Fate caps out at like 300% if I'm not mistaken. And her weapon caps out at like around, actually I'm not sure, I think it might be like 270. Or, no. Actually I'm not sure. You want like around 270 though, because the thing is like, you gain 30 from after using an elemental burst. So to cap out like this, it's supposed to be 300%. So you want like 270 minimum. But so like, the thing is, from my personal testing, I find an attack sand, even with identical, pretty much identical stats. Obviously this one's like slightly higher crit rate with attack percent and like lower crit damage, but like I find an attack sand to always give me it always just gives me more damage for some reason. And I tested this back and forth a pretty good amount of time, but yeah, consistently I would notice more damage with the attack sand, so that's why I run attack sand. I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy or maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. I tried both with attack buff characters and non-attack buff characters, and yeah, I just always find more damage, more consistent damage with an attack sand, so. I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy, or maybe I'm just testing it wrong, or maybe I'm just stupid, but yeah, otherwise, you want to try to get like close to 300% to technically cap out her bonus damage from the 4-piece emblem set. But yeah, otherwise, okay, some like these stats are like, let me just say that these stats are so unbelievably good, and my rating is so unbelievably like well balanced that this is like very unrealistic for the large majority of players probably. Like, even this hitting 14% is, like, unbelievably good. So she's able to, like, maintain a pretty good amount of attack percent, or attack, I don't know why I always say attack percent, but she's able to maintain, like, pretty good amount of attack with extremely good crit values. And then, obviously, she gains, like, more, because normally you run her with, like, Bennett or something, like an attack buffer. So that's how you get, like, the rest of that, on top of, you know, these passives, and on top of, like, this passive. So yeah, 9, 10, 10. But yeah, this this build is just unbelievably good, considering, like, the hardest part about Raiden is balancing her crit values while still trying to maintain a somewhat good attack you know, number. So yeah, don't feel too bad if you don't get pieces like this. I mean, dude, this has 17% crit rate, you know what I mean? It's just, like, really, yeah, extremely good Raiden build though. Okay, Kuching. Very good crit values. She gains 15%, I think, from ulting. So I think it's 15%. So yeah, 15%. So yeah, pretty solid. It ends up being, like, what, 93. So 93 with 189, like, very good stats. She is on a physical set though, and she's been like that since I got her back in, like, yeah, I don't even know, like 1 point something, I don't know. The reason for it is because I find her, like, really fun on physical damage, and I really like physical damage. So that's just how I've always had her built. Yeah, extremely good stats though. I spent probably, like, way too much time farming this. Like, I would farm this, like, whenever there's, like, a dead patch and I had, like, nothing else to farm, I would literally just go back and farm Pale Flame Domain. Which it wasn't actually that bad of value, because a lot of characters ended up using, like, Tenacity, either 2-piece or 4-piece Tenacity sets. So it's actually kind of good value. This set, dude, even this one, like, 34% crit rate, or crit damage, is pretty nasty. It, like, overtakes, like, the main stat pretty much. I do have an alternative set on, I think Lisa's holding it, where once I get her C6, then I think that's when I fully convert back to, like, an aggravate build. But until then, I'm gonna leave her on, like, a physical set. But I do have, like I'd probably give her, like, Heron, and then I would swap her to, like, Thundering Fury, which, like I said, like, Lisa's currently holding it. But yeah, as of right now though, she's built as a physical damage character. Triple Crown, because yeah, she was my second 5-star that I got. And yeah, I've had her built, like, this exact same way since I got her, pretty much. Cookie. For her, you want max HP and EM. I do have her on the Umbrella, which is an event exclusive, so most people can't get this. You can just put her on Dark Iron Sword, which is what I had Kazuha on for, like, 4 years. Up until I got, Zyphos. And then I put Kazuha on Zyphos instead. But yeah, you can have her on this. Probably Sapwood. Probably Ali Flash 2. Or you can just do Dark Iron Sword. They're pretty much all, like, near identical. This is just good for marking. Which, yeah, actually I don't think it matters that much, but whatever. As for her set, so I mentioned this earlier. I had her on 4-piece tenacity, I think. It was either 4-piece tenacity or I had her on like double HP sets. But then I found out that this buffs like all types of like bloom damages. And when I figured that out, I was like, wait a second, why didn't I have this on her before? Like I just had all these pieces just sitting here. So yeah, I swapped her to this, and it was like a pretty noticeable damage increase because she triggers like the hybrid bloom herself. So yeah, for this set, you just want like EM, HP, EM, HP, EM main stat, 25% HP percent, EM, HP, EM, and then unfortunately no HP percent, but some flat percent at least. So she ends up being near 30,000 with 900 easily for EM. Like extremely good. I managed to get her C6 during the LAUMA banner too, which is like really, that was like a massive increase, let me tell you. This is such like a massive quality of life and like safety net. Plus the EM, the bonus 150 EM is pretty good too. And then yeah, I should probably crown this because dude, I've used her for so long. I was one of like the original, like when I saw her kit, like when I went through the kit and like read it, I was like, wait, isn't she like really good? And that was like back in the day when she released during like Inazuma, when everybody was like, wow, she's super useless. That was like one of the few people that actually built her and would try to like actively figure out teams for her. Yeah, she ended up having like massive value, so I should probably crown these just for, you know, because I've used her for so long. She's been like such high value. Kujosara, I never ended up getting her C6, so I have her level 90. Also, yeah, I don't think I explained it, but like 4 stars that I have level 90, they're just ones that I really like. All the rest are just like level 80. But the ones that I do like, I got to 90 just cause. Kujosara though, I never ended up getting her C6, which is like the main part of her kit for the crit damage increase. So I never actually ran her. I use her sometimes when like, you know, in the Imaginary Theater when I have like nothing else. She's a pretty good buffer still. You mainly just want like her ult, like consistent ults. Her weapons and stuff doesn't really matter, I don't think. I think she's, I don't know what her attack bonus scales off of. Yeah, off her attack. So you do want like attack, like high attack kinda. So I do have her on like Almost Bow. 4-piece Noblesse sounds like a typical, it's like a very generic buffer set. Yeah, you kind of just want like energy recharge. I didn't have one here, but I think I have one now because I did strongbox it like a little bit. Or, yeah, just kidding, never mind, I don't, unfortunately. I only have 2. I'm gonna have 3, but yeah. Electro bonus, and then crit rate. Pretty much just build like a damage character. Don't ever C6 like I said, so she doesn't find consistent use from me. But I do have her pretty well invested actually, all things considered. Official, very solid.
Another universe and found it.
Very solid. I should probably just turn the voices off instead of like doing that every time. Very solid crit stats though, pretty much 72% with 150. Pretty solid attack too for a 4-star, considering she's also on a 4-star weapon. Yeah, I'm on Fading Twilight just cause pretty much. I think yeah, I'm pretty sure she can stack this. I think that was why. It's been like a while, so but I'm pretty sure this like benefits her. And I found that damage, she provides like anyway is like really good. She's on Golden Troop, which yeah, as you can see, like a very good sense across the board. Attack double crits like just on every piece. Attack percent too, like yeah, just unbelievably good stats, which is why I'm able to maintain like such solid numbers. C6 and then double crown. Dory, she's actually kind of good as like a kooky side grade. Not as comfortable to use, but she's very good too. I run the bell just cause. But technically, if you have like a bonus like sacrificial greatsword, you could probably just throw that on her. But just cause like it matches, that's why I threw it on. As for her set, another character with like a generic noblesse setup. For her, you just want to ult and some HP percent for the heals. If you use her as a hyper bloomer, you want like EM, which is why I also try to go for like EM stats. Yeah, again, she's just like on an attack one because I don't have enough energy recharge ones here. But otherwise HP, but yeah, if you're using her as like a hyper bloomer, then you would go like triple EM. But I've her just built as like a general support and healer, so HP with healing bonus. But as you can see, she still has like a pretty decent amount of EM, so C6 and then 9, 10, but it's actually 6, 7. Lisa, I technically do have her pretty well built, but that's only because she's holding Kuching's, technically Kuching's aggravate set. She's also like on a Skyward Atlas, kind of just for fun. But I don't actually use her outside of like Imaginarium Theater too. But yeah, she's currently on Kuching's future aggravate set once I get her C6. The stats across the board are actually pretty good. That's kind of like a little bit of everything for most pieces. Like very solid. C2. Yeah, constellations kind of don't matter. And then pretty low investment. Just kind of just like there, just like a quickly ult whenever I do have to use her. Auroron, I actually just recently built this guy because I needed one more character for Imaginarium to start like the new visionary mode. I was missing one character. So I just quickly leveled him and built him. Put him on the string list just for like slightly bonus damage. Otherwise, he's on a Cinder set just for like the extra. He can potentially buff the team, or not the team, but it buffs whatever element he comes into contact with and creates a reaction. But otherwise, just he's kind of just built as damage because I didn't really know what to build for him. I think you're supposed to just build him as damage anyway. So it just kind of like made sense. I think this Beto piece is actually better, but I think Beto's holding somebody else's set too. Oh yeah, she's holding an Effa, like just in case I pull for an Effa. Yeah, I made sure to save like a set for her. But yeah, Auroran is otherwise just built as like a just double damaged character. C0 and then absolute minimum investment. He is on level 70 though, so that's why. Set those, yeah, and then from here none of these guys are leveled, so it doesn't matter. I'll quickly show this though. This is my, just in case I end up pulling for an Effa. Yeah, that's like, or no, this isn't an Effa set. This is what's her name? So this is for IANSAN. Future IANSAN set. So just like double attack. I'm pretty sure you just build it with like pure attack. You probably want energy recharge, but I'll figure that out when I get her eventually. Oh, and then there's like a future VARESA set. I'm probably not gonna pull for VARESA, but like this is like just in case. So yeah. I should probably make like an enough set too, just in case, but I kind of already deleted everything, so I actually kind of I just remembered about that, like now, so. Moving on to Animo. Okay. Mizuki I used for my selector, 5-star selector. So she's pretty recent. Pretty good stats. I have her on this, but I think technically you're just supposed to go like EM on it. I don't really have like anything else though. It was like this, but I didn't want to like level up another weapon, so I just threw her on this. Very generic Viridescent with like triple EM pretty much. So the point is just energy recharge and elemental mastery. And yeah. Yeah, this is like the only EM crown that I have for Viridescent set. So I need more of those too. C0 and then 99. Katsuha. The original, old, reliable. To this day, still very good. Pretty much near 1000 EM. Pretty good. It's on Zyphos, R5. Typical Viridescent set. EMER. EMER. EM doesn't have energy recharge, unfortunately. EM, unfortunately, no ER. And then EM with ER. But yeah, with Zyphos, the Zyphos passive pretty much alleviates any energy recharge issue. So that's why it's like really, once you get this for Kazuha, it's like unbelievably good. Even at R1, pretty much. Made like a massive difference for his consistency. So yeah, I do have him at 9, 10, 10. The reason I have him at 9 for his normal attacks is he's surprisingly good as a physical character. His charge attack is like super low cost, but also his normal attack string has like pretty decent like values. So I had him built physical for like a little bit for fun. That's the reason why he's at 9 for his normal attacks. Otherwise I would never level that. Jean. Very good stats across the board. Her attack is low, but that's because I have her on an energy recharge sand. I do have her on this, but in case I swap Kuching to aggravate, I'll be giving this to Kuching. So then I'll probably just put her on like this, or I could put her on this. I don't think it matters that much. But I do have backup swords. I'll probably just put her on this, but for now she's on Heron. Typical Viridescent set too. The only difference is she's built more as like a damage character. She's on energy recharge because her entire value these days is just to use her ult. The massive, just massive healing aura thing. And then, yeah, it does pretty good damage too. And the swirl is like very good. And then, yeah, otherwise she's built like a just generic DPS character. I could probably... I mean, she could use like a little more crit damage, but her damage doesn't matter that much. C1. Yeah, I think her C2 is what generally you're supposed to... Oh, no, her C4 for the animal res decrease. That's if you're running like an animal main DPS though. That's like pretty high cost though, for sure. 9, 10, 10. The reason is because I did run her as like a main DPS for a little bit. Because I didn't get her till like 4 years in. And then when I finally got her, I like actually ran her as just like a main DPS for a while, just because I wanted to. Lynette, nothing too crazy here. She's pretty much just built just to be built as like just an extra character. She's also the royal longsword holder. EMER pretty much were like the stats I was trying to go for with like crit otherwise. She's built as like a standard DPS type character though. Nothing like too crazy. I could probably... Yeah, this is technically an upgrade, but I have to like level it first. Otherwise, C0. Pretty much almost max investment. It's technically max because she's at 80-80. Farzan. I never had like an animal main DPS character, so I never actually ended up using her. She's on Windbloom, just because like it matches like very well with her. Looks very pretty with like the color scheme. Another, pretty much every animal character is just built very decent, so I feel like I'm like in a loop just saying the same thing over and over. Energy recharge. She's built pretty much like exactly like Jean. C1 only. I pretty much never use her because again I don't have like an animal main DPS character. I also don't ever C6, so that's like another thing. Sayu. Sayu sometimes gets actually pretty good use. Another just animal character where you just kind of want to ult. And she's on Prototype Archaic because that's just kind of like all I had. I think her heals scale off, attack. So that's like, yeah. Otherwise, once again, it's a very decent set. With attack, healing bonus, whoa. You do want some EM, you do want some ER though, just for her ult. So that's why I like EM here. A little bit of ER here. EM here. ER here. C6 with 666 across the board. Like, pretty like low investment, but she's not really used for like anything other than her ults, so it's kind of fine. Sucrose, this is probably my least used 4-star that I've built. I personally have never found like her actual use. Obviously she does have her use cases, but for me, I don't know. It's like, why use anything other than Kazuha? Like, even if you need a buff, EM specifically, which is like what she's better at for buffing EM for the team, like, I don't know. Still find Kazuha just to be better, just from like the raw, like, or damage percent, or whatever. What does he do? He does, yeah, he gives elemental damage. I don't know. That being said, she still has her use cases, so. Sacrificial Fragment though, that's like very typical for her, and then another VARESA set. EMER, EMER, EM main stat, EM main stat, EMER. C3 only, which is pretty tragic considering she's been out since like 1.0. And then yeah, just pretty low investment. And Lanyan finally. Her shield is extremely tanky, surprisingly. She's an attack scaling shielder. So yeah, she's on Skyward just for like max base attack pretty much. And wow, who would have guessed another Animo VARESA set. So yeah, for her, you just want to stack like a bunch of attack. So attack, some ER. I don't think I had an attack piece here, so that's why she's just like running that. C1 only. And then... yeah. Pretty sure she's... yeah, this goes off attack. So... still find her to be one of the weirder looking characters. Like, her eyes are like weirdly too far apart, and they're like... this is when they started changing like the models, kind of. So she just looks so weird. And like... kind of like out of place. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. He's, yeah, I never use him. Alright, almost done. So, cryo. Starting with Skirk. So Skirk has an unbelievably good set too. 84 crit, 177 crit damage. Very solid attack. She is on her signature, so she gains an extra 40% crit damage. So you can just add that onto this. Very good stats though. She's another one of those characters where I can kind of min-max certain pieces, but again, it's like diminishing returns at that point. Like, I could technically get a better piece here. I find just... I try to get like as much crit rate these days as possible, because for absolute consistency, so like this is technically better, but I would rather just have like the extra 2% crit rate. It's kind of like the philosophy there, but I think technically this is better, but like I don't know. Same thing here. It's kind of like the same thing. Like this could, like I could try to get more crit rate, but like I think the attack percentage is better. Same thing here. I could technically throw this back on, but yeah, just kind of leave it on to this too. This is pretty good. And then this is probably the worst piece that she has. So I could probably try to min-max this. But again, if I were to try to go back and farm for it, it's just like really like low value at this point. It's like such diminishing returns. I'll probably try to just craft a crit rate, crit damage piece, and then just hope for the best. Because I mean, I did craft this, but it ended up just kind of being like a side grade. Pretty good sets across the board though, which is why like my crit values are like very consistent across the board. I think, yeah, I think this might actually just be... I don't know. It's like when I come back through these, it's like, I don't know, yeah, I could throw it, like I could throw this on just for absolute consistency, so that'd be a 90, 91 with 190, because this gets 40. So it's like, yeah, I could do that, I guess, but like, I don't know, what if like the crit damage is actually better slightly, I don't know. C0, 9, 10, 10. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, this overrides her normal attacks, so this technically doesn't matter. Seed Lolly, for her you want just EM, pure EM and some ER. So as you can see, she's just under LAUMA. She does have her signature, and here's her signature weapon also gives like a slight damage increase to the team. Yeah, so now we're getting to this, so Scroll of or Cinder City set, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah, you're pretty much only looking for EMER. So EMER, EMER, EM, doesn't have ER, but that's fine. EMER, and then C0 with Crown, And yeah, nothing really to say. She's like very good though. Shenna, probably one of my most least used 5 stars, just because I never had like a proper cryo main DPS. I technically have one now with Skirk, but I prefer to run Lolly in that team instead for the shield. But I don't know. Once I get Escoff, maybe that team will change and maybe I'll throw in Shenhe, but I'll have to like test the damage amounts. I do have her signature, which honestly I don't even know why I got her signature because I like never play her. The way I viewed it was like this could be better for like other characters or something, so I just got it anyway. Otherwise I would only ever run her in like my Eula team. But even like Eula teams these days, it's like you want like FURINA, you want kind of like Raiden, and then like maybe like just Charlotte. So it's kind of, it's one of those things. Otherwise she's on just double attack set with as much attack percent as possible. But honestly, I don't know what's actually good for her. I think like maybe Noblesse technically. I've always just had her build like this though, just because it makes sense to me. C0 and then double crown. Ooh, and then we finally get to Eula. Probably like my actual favorite character to play. 97 or pretty much 98% with 192. The reason for that is because she's currently on Beacon. So realistically, I do want to get her weapon, her signature. If I get her signature, I'll end up with 80, 160, because I would have to swap some artifacts around. My previous set without Beacon, giving like the extra crit rate. I used to run her on this. And then yeah, it was like 80 with like 167, I think. So still like very solid 1 to 2. But with Beacon, she's at 98 with 182. On a Pale Flame set, but like, yeah. Yeah. So like this is like kind of like the set, but I do have like the old pieces. So like this one, for example, like if I go back to like a non-crit rate piece, I would just swap this for the extra crit rate. Like this is like extremely good. Yeah, just like just so unbelievably good for like a Eula set. And then once I get her C1, it'll be like even better. But yeah. Like just unbelievably solid stats across the board. The only thing that would make it better is if I had more ER. I only ever try to run her with Raiden though, to alleviate that. So normally she doesn't have energy recharge issues. But yeah, her energy recharge is like really low otherwise. Which is why something like Skyward Pride is actually pretty good for her, because of the bonus energy recharge. But again, like, just as long as you run her with Raiden, it kind of alleviates that. Triple Crown. I think she was probably my first Triple Crown, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I plan on getting my first free constellation will be for Eula. And once I do that and get her C1, I plan on consistently running Eula from then on, pretty much. But yeah, just do like this Eula build is like unbelievably good though. Ganyu, like pretty good stats too. I find Ganyu to be kind of hard to balance stats on too. But as you can see, pretty much 60 with 259. 59 with 259. She's currently on Aqua Simulacra, because I find that this increases... I pretty much only use her for her ultimate. So, I find that this is pretty much like always pro, because you're always like near enemies pretty much. And this buffs like her off-field damage too. Because obviously it works whether the character's on field or not. She's on Blizzard Strike, so she does get 20%. So she's actually at 79%. And technically if I freeze, it'd be like an extra 20%, but normally that's not realistic, so it's I usually just consider just the extra 20%. But otherwise, as you can see, pretty good crit stats across the board, you know, a little bit of attack there. Double crit again. Double crit with like a pretty good amount of attack percent. More attack percent, and a little bit of energy recharge. As long as you run her in a double cryo team, her ult is usually up. But yeah, I would say more energy recharge would definitely be better though. I did crown her normal attacks because back in the day she was actively used as like a main DPS character for, because she used to have like really high damage auto attacks. These days it's kind of like, I mean it's technically still pretty high these days, but in my use case I use her purely for her ult. Chi-Chi. There's not really much to say about Chi-Chi other than I built her like very recently, purely to do her echo. I otherwise never use her. Yeah, I pretty much built her purely for damage so she could clear her echo trial. And then I kind of just like left her like that. So yeah, just pure damage. Technically if you want healing though, yeah, you just go healing bonus here. And technically, yeah, you run on like Clam or something, or like Maiden. But I never actually use her, so I just left her on a pure damage set. C2, and then absolute minimum investment. Layla. Layla was also like one of those like old reliable characters for her shield. Her energy recharge looks kind of low, but like she never really has energy recharge issues for her ult. Pretty decent max HP too. I have her on Cinnabar Spindle because it looks way too good. Like it just matches perfectly. Otherwise, yeah, I have her on Tenacity, but yeah, you could do just double HP if you want to like absolutely maximize her shield strength, or you can go Noblesse technically, but you might as well go Tenacity because it buffs the shield and gives an attack buff. Yeah, so for her, just energy recharge and HP were kind of like the go-to stats. It's like HP, HP, ER, HP, ER, HP. Some ER would be better. I could probably just throw this on her, but again, like she kind of doesn't need it, so I do try to go like some crit stats just in case, but like it's so low anyway that it doesn't really matter. C4, but yeah, or C6 could be kind of good, I guess, for like just slightly better personal damage, but otherwise it's like doesn't really matter. 9-9, and then yeah, pretty solid character. Diona was like the original, like I ran her in like all of my teams. I found her like shield stamina reduction to be really high value for a long time. Sacrificial just for, because normally in like the rotation you like start with like the shield to funnel orbs, and then right before you switch to your main DBS you re-swap to her to refresh the shield and give like even more orbs. So that's like kind of like the philosophy behind that, but technically you could just go like Favonius too if you have like an extra one. But that would require you to build some crit. So I find just Sacrificial to be pretty good. Otherwise, yeah, typical buffer where just run on noblesse and kind of just call it a day. Just HP percent and then like maybe ER if you can get it. So yeah, HP ER, HP ER, HP ER, HP with ER. But I think you probably go like healing percent, but to maximize her shield strength though, you do want as much HP as possible. C6, her C6 actually has a pretty unique thing where if you're inside of her ultimate, she gives the active character EM, 200 EM, which is pretty massive actually. I'm surprised people don't kind of play around with that more. But she does, her being cryo is kind of like a weird, she takes up like a slot, you know? But the 200 EM buff is like pretty massive. Otherwise, yeah, 99. Charlotte, I actually kind of built her recently when I got Skirk. Because since I don't have Escoff, yeah, Charlotte was like the next best thing pretty much. Especially since you run her with FURINA. She's on Thrilling Tales because Skirk likes the extra attack. And it's like a pretty substantial buff too. Typical noblesse piece for further attack increase. I think she scales off attack too for her heal. Yeah, based off attack. I pretty much just went like ER though, for the most part, because just for like I just need to have her ult up. Otherwise the team kind of falls apart. And then, you know, I get some attack here and there whenever I can. Attack, and then, yeah, healing bonus. Because, yeah, I'm pretty sure the healing bonus makes up for the, like, not going attack here. I think this just makes up for it. C2 only. But I'm pretty sure the rest of our constellations are kind of whatever anyway. And then, yeah, kind of, minimal investment, but yeah, the reason why is just because I plan on getting Escoff. Once I get Escoff, Charlotte will pretty much not see like any use, so. Rosaria, she weirdly enough gets pretty good use. As you can see, she has 101% crit rate, and that's because of her passive where she gives crit to the team based off her by 50% of her like crit rate. So to get the full 15, I think you need to get to 100. Technically you get 12 from this, but if you're not able to teleport behind an enemy to do like the backstab, you don't actually get the 12%, so I just opted for like the 100%. In order to do that, yeah, you have to kind of use the white tassel, which as you can see is a 3-star. Whoa. First 3-star use. Actually no, Amber was also on Slingshot, but this one actually has a use though. Yeah, she's on Noblesse. She's built as like a damage character. You can sub her for like C Lolly and like a MAVUIKA team as like the cryo applier character, and it works like very well, by the way. So she actually has some use outside of just like pure crit buffer. But otherwise, yeah, built with or energy recharge because you do want her ult, because her ult's pretty much like the primary thing. And yeah, otherwise build like a damage character. C4, but eventually, if I get her C6, I might unironically run her in like a YOLO team for this res shred just to test it, but 20% probably isn't good enough. But, you know, eventually I would like it. Yeah. But yeah, just pretty much an energy recharge. Just make sure you always have her ult, because that's how you get like these like bonuses. Changyun, I actually recently built him So he's not like fully geared yet. Which is funny because my original team back in the day was like Traveler, Animal Traveler, Chongyun, Official, Barbara. And he was like my lowest like investment character for like the longest time, even though I use him pretty consistently. But otherwise, yeah. He's there kind of just for his skill, kind of, and then his ult. His ult actually hits pretty hard. But yeah, 2-piece emblem for the energy recharge, and then 2-piece blizzard just for his personal damage. But yeah, I think overall you would want to just go pure damage, but I don't have good enough pieces for blizzard strayer, so I just went with like a split set. But otherwise, he's built like a damage character, but I don't know. You could go energy recharge here. Normally, he's pretty. He kind of just like always has it up, but I think that's because of constellations. Yeah, like this one where he regens energy. So yeah, just unbelievably low investment though, because yeah, I never use them. And then Mika, I built him purely to use him in like a YOLO team just to test him out. And I didn't think he was good enough, so like I never actually ended up using him. But he's built as like a general, generic noblesse buffer type character. He scales off HP for his healing, so that's why he's on that. C0, but maybe if I had him C6, he would be better. Because then he would give 60% more physical crit damage. But yeah. As you can see, if you've been watching this long, like I just have problems getting these constellations. For like the vast majority of my roster. Yeah, the only other thing is like he's on Missive Wind Spear because it just kind of like matches him. That's the only reason. Technically, like Favonius would be better, or just like anything with energy recharge. But yeah, I just haven't built like that. And these last two are completely unused. I kind of regret leveling them this much. But yeah. He is holding this set because I planned on testing Ganyu with energy recharge with like an emblem set. Since I only ever use her for her burst. So this is kind of like a secondary Ganyu set just for like an pure alter type character. But I haven't tested her like ult damage yet. But yeah, I do have that as like a secondary set. So eventually I'll build her. So assuming this is just like her general set, but like assuming this ends up being better, I'll quickly show it just as like a, yeah. And then she would just keep like the same goblet. And then this is an ESCOFF set, so if I get ESCOFF in the future. So I'll quickly show my ESCOFF set for my ESCOFF that I don't have. But it's kind of like what I'm working with for now. It's actually pretty good, because even on Mika, or whatever this guy's name, Femine, the crit stats are pretty good. I'm assuming that her weapon gives crit value, or crit rate. So, but otherwise I could just swap this for like a crit rate circlet. Alright, moving on to the final category of Geo. Luckily this one's quick, because I don't have that many. Gilonin, you want pure defense. To max out her signature weapon, you want 4,000, but technically you only need 3,000. 4,000 is if you want to get the absolute max. Which is like, what is it? Wait. No, yeah, yes, 1.6%, because For 3,000, so you get 8% for every 1,000. So with 3,000, it would give you 24%. But to min-max, like the 1.6%, you do need 4,000. It's kind of like not worth, but like for me, I was able to do it like pretty easily. So, and like none of my other stats suffer because the only other stat is energy recharge. But otherwise, yeah. So yeah, she just runs Cinder City, which if you notice, my Seed Lolly also has Cinder City. Technically, if you run them both on the same team, because like this doesn't proc twice, it only procs on one set. So technically, like one of these, either Jilonin or Seed Lolly would rather have Instructor set. And I kind of do have some Instructor pieces, but I run them separately often enough that I just keep them both on the same set. So even though, like, especially like in a MAVUIKA team anyway, but that team deals so much damage that even if I can't fully utilize both sets, because only like one will proc, it usually doesn't matter. So in my opinion, just having them both on the same set is just better. Especially if you like actively run them on different teams, which I personally do. Like I run them separately pretty consistently, so. But yeah, technically you would want to put one of them on Instructor instead to get like the absolute maximum value. But yeah. Anyway. So for Jilonin, just pure defense percent, as much defense as you can get, and then energy recharge. That's like all you care about. So defense, energy recharge, defense percent, main stat, energy recharge, defense, energy recharge, and then defense, energy recharge. C0, and then double crown. Then weirdly enough, I leveled up her normal attacks for some reason. They actually do a pretty good amount of damage though, because it scales off pure defense. So, or at least I'm pretty sure it does. So, actually no, I think it deals geo damage. Because when you infuse it with this. But yeah, I think that scales off defense, so yeah. Actually, wait, yeah, you don't really need to level this actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Oh wait, no, yeah, you do. Yeah, so when it gets infused by this, yeah, it does geo, but also it's defense damage. Or it scales off defense, so. Yeah, it actually ends up hitting pretty hard. Ningguang, I actually recently updated her build because I finally got this. I got this on like standard banner, I think. Oh wait, no. I got it during when I was pulling for LAUMA weapon, I think. And I ended up getting this. So it was actually kind of like an upgrade for Ningguang. Because I actually kind of do use Ningguang sometimes. She has really high crit rate for pretty much no real reason. But that's just because I can't really balance the stats any better. She's on Nighttime Whisper, which the condition for this one is just as long as she's shielded by one of the crystal things that you pick up. Which is pretty easy, but yeah. As you can see, I only have like one set for it pretty much. Oh wait. No, yeah, I have like none though. So I had just enough pieces to make one solid set. So that's why I'm not really able to balance the crit damage as well. Like this could actually use more crit damage, but it's like all I have, so. Should otherwise just build like as a. Like what's good about her is that she's not locked down to pure defense like the other Geo characters. So for her you build it with like attack, Geo, crit. I do have her C6, and then 999 across the board. I could technically triple counter because I actually do kind of like her gameplay. And she's like the only Well, I mean, she's my only Geo main DPS character, so... Along with now having like a pretty good weapon, it would make a lot of sense. But, I mean... She's still a 4-star, so... It's kind of like not worth... Noelle... Pretty alright values, I guess. You kind of, I mean, technically, yeah, I can finish leveling this. She is built on a DPS set, but I think as like a... I don't even know. Yeah, I guess she was just recommended to be built as like a damage character, so yeah, that's just how I have her built as well. But otherwise, yeah, as you can see, just like a bunch of defense, as much defense as you can get, and then just crit value. You do want energy recharge because her entire damage is from her ult, but I don't really play her like that. So, yeah, it doesn't matter as much for me. C6, but it took me like 4.5 years to get her C6. So that's why I never like properly built her. Pretty minimal investments. So it was like 655 actually. Yeah, 655. This isn't even leveled. And then Yunjin, which she's not actually leveled to where she's usable in Imaginarium Theater. She's pretty much like close enough though to where like if I desperately need like one more character to start the 28 visionary mode version, she's kind of like right there. She has this, which isn't leveled, but it does give defense. And yeah, she's on 4-piece emblem. Purely because her entire kit is just like around her burst. So yeah, but I mean, it's just like whatever pieces I had left pretty much. Like none of it's leveled, so it's pretty much just there. She's kind of just there for now. Yeah, I also don't ever C6, which is like one of her like main values is the attack speed increase, which I don't have that, so yeah, you otherwise only use her for her ult for the flying cloud flag formation thing. For just like bonus damage. But yeah, she's not leveled, so it doesn't really matter that much. And then these last two aren't leveled because I will never use them. I'm actually not sure why he even has stuff equipped. But yeah. So, that's all of my characters. Again, this is just like a reference thing for, you know, in case you want to say like what characters I have and what characters, like how they're built. So, yeah. Purely for character build archive purposes. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video somehow. And, yeah.